Hi, I'm John Maxwell. When the top companies in the world are looking for trainers, speakers, and coaches, there's one name that stands above the rest, and that's Maxwell Leadership. Our certified team members have gotten proven results for companies all over the globe, and our reputation, I'm proud to say, is second to none. Some of our members have risen to the top of their profession, including the one you're going to meet today. I proudly introduce you to my friend Bob Fabian Zinka.
Welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ. If you need to develop into a better leader, this podcast is for you. If you want to achieve a greater level of success, this podcast is for you. His mentor, Dr. John C. Maxwell, said it best: everything rises and falls on leadership. We hope to inspire you today and provide you with an insight that has the potential to positively impact the trajectory of your life. Welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast.
Imagine gaining the leadership skills that could redefine your career. Join Coach BZ in the Leadership and Success Podcast, where you'll discover practical insights from renowned speakers and industry experts. Each episode dives deep into essential topics like building resilient teams and navigating complexity, all designed for aspiring leaders like you. Don't miss our upcoming live sessions. Watch our recent sessions with Michele Heyward on building diverse technical teams, Ron Carpenter AI exploring faith and leadership through innovative AI perspectives, and Chris Robinson leading from drift to drive. Ready to elevate your leadership journey? Tune in on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and LinkedIn Live. Join the movement towards leadership excellence. Listen now and transform your success.
Welcome to our conversation. Today, we're diving deep into leadership, where equity meets engineering, like the remarkable journey of Michele Heyward, who transforms struggles into systems that serve.
It's fascinating how Michele's story, from rural South Carolina roots to spearheading Positive Hire, really shows us that leadership isn't just about a fancy title, it's about responsibility and authenticity, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely, and it's like, her journey clearly exemplifies that leadership is a responsibility, not a mere job description, right? Think about it. Instead of just managing tasks, she nurtured an environment of trust and servant leadership. A leader earns trust through actions, not through hierarchy.
And her shift, in 2010 with that pivotal project, when she worked with Bob, that leader who took the blame when things went awry and celebrated team wins, really underlined the point. That's a powerful model for military and tech leaders.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like leadership starts with self-awareness and courage, not from a badge on your uniform. And it's pretty cool to see that her experiences, including early career setbacks and failures, actually built a foundation to create support systems for others.
Speaking of failures, she talks about how mistakes were not traps, but feedback, failure as a teacher. I really love that idea. How can we see failures as opportunities to learn rather than as roadblocks?
Exactly, and it's a shift in mindset. Where a lot of people dwell on failures, Michele instead uses those moments to develop empathy, lead with transparency, and improve systems. Think about it, like when you're on a challenging project, it's not about wallowing, it's about asking for help and growing from it.
Yeah, and that ties in with her idea of say yes, then build the plane, right? Challenging the notion of waiting for perfection. Instead, it's about taking action even when you're scared. I mean, can you imagine building your plane mid-flight?
It really is an analogy that captures the essence of bold leadership, especially in unpredictable fields like construction and tech. You just have to trust that you'll adjust course on the fly, as long as your vision is clear.
Exactly. I love that because it shatters the myth that you need to be fearless. Instead, it's about being courageous in spite of being scared. That's something many leaders, particularly in tech realms, can absorb and apply. Yep.
And speaking of tech, another key point in her story is the ethical use of AI. Michele points out that when using AI in civil engineering, you have to account for equity and ethics, avoiding biased data that perpetuates harm to marginalized communities.
Right? Because while AI can streamline operations and reduce busy work with tools like voice recognition in engineering documentation, if it's fed biased data, it could actually deepen systemic inequities. That's a crucial reminder in today's tech landscape. Exactly.
For sure, and it underscores that technology must be deliberate and centered around human values. It's not just, can we do it? But more importantly, should we do it? And that's a conversation we need to have more frequently.
Yep. One thing that really struck me was the emphasis on building the right network. Michele's story reminds us that sometimes, as you progress, you outgrow your initial circles, and it's vital to expand and find people who challenge you to grow.
Totally. And it's like she said, the right people at the right time can change your life. Networks are, well, like rocket fuel for your aspirations. It also means that if you're not seeing growth, maybe you're not in the right network.
True, and I appreciate that nuance. She doesn't just focus on acquiring talent through recruitment, but emphasizes retention. That's a lesson we can all learn from in both military and tech domains, where fostering an inclusive culture is essential. Exactly.
Absolutely, and she even challenges the status quo, urging leaders to protect their team during failures and elevate them during successes. It's all about servant leadership. Do you think people truly realize the impact of that approach?
Good question. I wonder that too. Sometimes I think people in leadership positions cling to traditional power structures. They might see vulnerability as a weakness, but Michele redefines strength by showing that admitting fear or failure is part of genuine leadership.
Exactly. And that brings us to another impactful takeaway. Confidence doesn't come from perfection, but from truth. Her authenticity in speaking up against misinformation resonates powerfully. It's like, when you truly know the facts, you're not afraid to challenge the incorrect narratives.
Right on. That's something so essential, especially when there's so much noise and misinformation out there. Her message to speak truth boldly is a call to action for every leader facing imposter syndrome or self-doubt. Yep.
True, and she provides actionable steps too. 5 key leadership action points, like redefining leadership, saying yes to growth, asking for help, speaking truth, and building a culture of retention. These are practical and really empowering directions for anyone looking to evolve in their careers.
And those points are particularly resonant in fields that are traditionally rigid, such as engineering or the military. Imagine applying these principles to restructure outdated practices. Pure transformation. Absolutely.
Totally. And it's interesting how her narrative also touches on personal growth. Like when discussing failure, she recalls those nights of not being able to sleep and finding solace in prayer and gospel music. Small moments that built her resilience.
Yeah, I love that human touch. It really gives a realistic view of leadership. It's messy, vulnerable, and deeply personal. Not everyone is the picture-perfect leader from the start, but through continuous learning and self-reflection, you can transform challenges into strengths.
Exactly. And let's not forget how her experience as the only black woman on many construction sites propelled her to create Positive Hire. It's about turning personal adversity into a platform that supports others in similar positions.
Right? That's powerful. That shift from feeling isolated to designing solutions that promote diversity and retention in engineering is inspiring. It speaks to the broader theme of using one's pain to fuel purpose, a message that can resonate with leaders in so many sectors. Indeed.
And her innovative vision doesn't stop there. The discussion on leveraging AI responsibly in civil engineering, balancing innovation with ethical considerations, highlights a critical intersection of technology and social equity.
Absolutely. I find it commendable how she questions the environmental and social impacts of AI, like urging us to consider the water and power consumption of large language models. It's a wake-up call that every technological advancement should also be scrutinized for its equity impact. Yeah, that's a must-consider factor.
Right. It's essentially an appeal to ask, should we, before plunging into can we. It's like building a moral compass into our tech decisions. And that's something that can truly redefine industry standards.
It also challenges traditional ways of thinking, almost as if she's asking, why not infuse empathy and equity into every decision? And that might even be a disruptive force in those entrenched corporate environments. Yup, I agree.
Exactly. And while we admire the vision, I do wonder if some might critique this approach as too idealistic. Like, can we really expect large organizations to overhaul entrenched systems so swiftly?
That's a fair challenge. Right, there's a tension here between idealism and realism. But I think her answer is that these ideals are essential, and each incremental step, like fostering psychological safety, paves the way for bigger systemic changes. That's the hope.
Exactly, those small steps do add up. And it's like she's urging us to be ready to say yes, take opportunities despite the fear, and then adjust as needed. That kind of agile leadership is something we desperately need.
Yeah, agile and adaptive. I also find it refreshing how her narrative ties personal well-being into professional growth, whether that's taking mid-afternoon naps or even weightlifting to manage stress. It underscores that leadership isn't just professional, but also personal. Absolutely, self-care is non-negotiable.
Right. And that personal confidence, derived from authenticity and truth, is what builds a leader's credibility. As she said, my confidence comes from knowing what's true. It's a reminder that genuine leadership is about aligning your inner values with your outward actions.
This conversation really resonates. It captures multiple facets of leadership, from having the courage to fail, to building ethical technologies, to nurturing your team. It's a comprehensive blueprint for anyone in tech, military, or even everyday leadership roles. Exactly.
And what strikes me is how she embodies servant leadership. She promotes, do things scared, but do them anyway. It's a rallying cry for leaders who feel overwhelmed by challenges or even imposter syndrome.
Yeah, so relatable. Yes, and her actionable advice, like building the right network and creating a culture that values safety both physically and psychologically, is something every leader can adopt, regardless of industry. Absolutely, actionable advice is what makes it real.
Exactly. Before we wrap up, let's quickly touch on one of the final nuggets. When contemplating your next big leap, don't wait for all the pieces to fit perfectly. Adjust, iterate, and let your vision guide you, because opportunity often comes disguised in uncertainty.
That's a perfect summation. In our own lives and careers, we can all take a leaf out of Michele Heyward's playbook: serving others, embracing failure, leveraging networks, and using tech ethically. It's truly an inspiring blueprint for modern leadership. Right on.
And with that, let's encourage our listeners to reflect on these insights and think critically about how they can apply these lessons in their own roles, whether that's in the boardroom, on the construction site, or anywhere in between.
Absolutely. I truly hope today's conversation inspires every leader out there to build, serve, and lead with courage and authenticity. And remember, the journey to leadership is continuous. Keep evolving and asking the right questions. Yep.
Thanks for joining in this energetic dive into leadership where equity meets engineering. Be bold, be truthful, and always lead where you stand.
Exactly. Until next time, keep saying yes to opportunities learn from every stumble, and build a network that pushes you to be the best version of yourself. Thanks for listening. Yeah, see you next time.
Welcome to our conversation.
Well, it's been
Today, we're
quite a lot
diving
of
deep into
progress. So,
leadership.
question number 2 is, I know leaders are learners. What are you learning right now?
What am I learning right now? What am I not learning right now? I'm gonna be like everybody else. I'm learning AI. Actually, I'm learning AI in a different way. And what I mean by that, we're trying to understand better with the engineering talent shortage, how do we leverage AI for engineering design? We know a lot of infrastructure work negatively impacts Black communities, Hispanic, Latino communities, social economically challenged communities. How do we take data that is harmful and has been harmful for generations?
Well, it's been quite a lot of progress. So, question number 2 is, I know leaders are learners. What are you learning right now?
Uh, and so,
Yes.
or we were the first ones to, using CAD to do the
Mm-hmm.
drawing. You have to tell us the use case for AI. And so not to say we don't use it. I said we've used all the technology more than you guys. Y'all don't know how to do it without the tech. We do. So you got a good use case for doing it. And so just having those conversations in civil, because everything we do impacts everybody. And we
Wow.
have to be conscientious. And so my question was, my point was, as a civil engineer, we know some of the large language models use a hell of a lot of water and electricity. How do you, as a civil engineer, making sure you're using a large language model or LLM that doesn't negatively impact us long term? Tell me that.
Wow.
And left it. Because that should be your first thought, is how to protect the environment, how to protect people. He's like 80 at this point.
Oh my goodness. I hope he's written a book or something. I always love to read books, autobiography, and just learn from great people. But that's really the thing about leadership, right? That's part of the reason why I have this podcast, is everything I've learned since I was like 17 years old, when I took leadership and success pretty seriously, and how can I share it, right, for the next generation. That is so important. But really what you talked about is creating an environment of psychological safety, where it's safe to fail and it's safe to say, I am human, I make mistakes, I don't know everything, and can you please help me? And then together coming up with a solution. That is so powerful, isn't it?
It is. And, you bring that up. Now we talk about it as psychological safety. 2010, it wasn't really a thing.
Yes.
Dynamics around Tupac that people don't know. So that would be the first person I would have dinner with. The second person I would have dinner with would be my late maternal grandfather. He died before I was born. He had his own construction company and he purchased 100 acres of land. My mom's not sure how he was able to purchase 100 acres of land in South Carolina in the time during Jim Crow. And so really understanding what did he do? Like, he built our family church. The Klan came and burned a cross in the yard because he was working on getting a school bus for my mom, for their community, so the kids didn't have to walk to school. So they burned a cross in the yard. Like, what was it for him to be able to do those?
Thank you for listening to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to our channels and come back for more wisdom nuggets on how you may develop into a better leader and achieve greater levels of success. Leadership is the most critical skill, The world will always need leaders to lead others, deploy the next disruptive technology, or execute a business strategy. You may as well decide on counting yourself among the 21st century leaders. See you right here next time on the Leadership and Success Podcast with